Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's Zeee's Day 1 Dream Realm boss guide for Nocturne Judicator with my free-to-play account. So let's jump into one of the easiest boss fight to date, which is, it is a very easy fight because for this fight over here, you have two golems. One is called Nocturne Judicator and the other one is called Midnight Hunter. So both of them have this skill known as Ancient Blessings. So for Midnight Hunter, you increase the Ancient Blessing by giving him non-permanent stat buff, such that you are able to increase the other abilities potency. So blah blah blah, they deal damage, right? If the War Golem has 3 or more stacks of Ancient Blessing, the damage output increase, right? Night Piercer, same thing, damage, and then you have 3 or more stacks of Ancient Blessing, damage increase. Okay, so this unit over here, a Fountain Aegis, allows War Golem to get stacks of your units, stats of your whole team based off your overall tiers of your unit. So ideally you want to have like as high of a tier for all your units so that your Midnight Hunter can get the most stats. So that's for Midnight Hunter part. Okay, Nocturne Judicator, same thing, you have Ancient Blessing, but this one is one way for Nocturne Judicator to take less damage because each stack reduces damage taken, and you can remove the stack by implementing a non-permanent stat debuff. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so ultimate as well as the second skill, enhance ability after 3 or more Ancient Blessing. So that's how the skills work. And then for this one, there's also another line to take note. When a battle starts, blah 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 blah, okay, battles between War Golems take the form of night duels with 80% reduced HP loss effects from non-War Golem enemies. So what this means is basically the fight will be mostly between the Midnight Hunter as well as Nocturne Judicator. So yeah, you just buff up your Nocturne Judicator as well as Midnight Hunter and you're good to go. But for my best team over here with the most damage, it's a team with Fresto, because Fresto's HP percentage damage of the Vicious thing actually does quite a fair bit, one of the highest damage dealer based off the Primal Lord run, and it's still one of the best in this run over here. So we're gonna use the Mauler buff as well as Kruger debuff to buff up our Midnight Hunter as well as debuff the Nocturne Judicator right here. So artifact of choice. Okay, so artifact of choice, I use Shadow Blast to max out my damage because this team doesn't have a lot of range units to fully proc the Elder Bow spell. So you can also run Starshot spell for another layer of debuff onto the boss. So I'll use Shadow Blast for maximum stats and also damage from the artifact itself. Okay, so without further ado, let's showcase this run. So this positioning allows your Fresto to be buffed up, right, and allows your Midnight Hunter to get the buff from both the Mikola as well as Shakir. So this will maximize the buff, and then Twins is obviously there for the non-permanent haste buff to further buff up our Midnight Hunter right here. And then Kruger's job in the team is to apply for the debuff onto the boss to help remove the Ancient Blessing. So this fight is pretty straightforward. You just use the Maulers, get the maximum buffs onto your Midnight Hunter, and then deal maximum damage as long as you can survive. So I'll showcase a few other substitutes you can use in case you don't have all these units built up, because there's quite a few units you can sort of substitute for the different unit slots. Obviously they'll be less efficient because I think Shakir as well as Mikola, they are the so-called best non-permanent stat buff, right? But there are other forms of stat buff which is equally good, like for example Smokey, like for example Sonya, which we will showcase later. So this is my best team over here. Okay, so the RNG is not so good on this one. We get nearly 4,000 mil right here. So my best core is about 4,000-ish. Yeah, so with a little bit more RNG. Now let's talk about the other unit substitutes. So if you don't want to run Fresto or you don't have Fresto built up, you can just run a full team of buffers and debuffers. Other good buffers includes the likes of Sonya. Sonya just straight up buffs up the stats of the Golem, right? So Crimson Golem buffs up the stats based off the stats of the ally. So Midnight Hunter right here is going to get a lot of stats from all the whole skill kit itself, and then your Sonya is able to further enhance the stat buff for your Midnight Hunter to do more damage. So that's one. And then another good unit is Hugin. So Hugin is a unit with the attack buff, which is also non-permanent because the unstoppable skill over here is based off the shielding onto the ally for the ally to get the attack buff. So Hugin is okay as well, right? We obviously have Smokey, we obviously have Coco as well. So I think these two needs no introduction. Like Smokey and Coco, they are really good because Smokey number one has heals and 2 has a little bit of damage, and obviously the buff. And for Coco's case, right, Coco also has a non-permanent stat buff in the form of the ultimate right here. So you guys can see where I'm coming. Just a whole bunch of stat buffs as well as stats debuff if you can. So for this one, same thing, we're going to use Shadow Blast spell, and without further ado, let's start the battle. So for those of you guys who is going to start off on Nocturne Judicator on the global side, then at the point where Starshot spell has a higher efficiency value compared to the faction the season 4 artifacts over here, then what you want to do is just run Starshot spell, because Starshot spell got that true damage, got that haste buff, and also the debuff as well, which is pretty good against this boss. Okay, so Hyugin here with the control immunity, not so important. The shielding, the attack buff is the more important one. Okay, I think another unit with a debuff is Satrana, but I think Satrana is tough because Midnight Hunter does actually benefit a lot of Satrana's kit, so might not be the best. Yeah, so like I think basically any unit with some sort of temporary debuff, some sort of temporary buff will be really good for this one. If not, some of the best buffing units includes the likes of Reina, Sonya. Right here, as you guys can see, Smokey is technically a non-permanent debuff as well. I mean non-permanent buff as well, which is pretty decent. Okay, so this is with regards to Sonya together with Hyugin, with Coco as well as Smokey. So with Coco, the team can definitely survive. But if you want to max out damage, I think finding the balance between using the likes of Kruger as well as Shakir is important. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. A pretty simple boss in terms of the boss fight. So we're going to run through the damage distribution for this one, and then we're going to run through the damage distribution for the previous run, and then end the video here. Okay, so this one over here. So basically, yeah, you're just buffing up this guy to be the main damage dealer. All the other damage dealers are not as strong, although Fresto is okay in terms of damage output, but that's pretty much it. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.